Good morning, everybody. It's Barb Katie. It is a very busy weather day here today. I was awakened earlier this morning by some crashing, thumping, loud thunderstorms. Last night when I went to bed, the sky was clear blue, clear black, with only traces of wispy clouds. As some of you may know, last night there was a lunar eclipse. I've been watching the sky since I was a little girl and used to lay on an army blanket in the backyard with my brother and sister and my dad and whoever else was around and look at the sky at night. It is fascinating to see what's up there in the dark of night, and last night was no exception. It was a wonderful evening to stargaze. As I was sitting out on the deck and looking up at the sky, I gradually got to see the Earth travel between the sun and the moon until the moon turned a very dark orange in the night sky. This started about 10:30 in the evening and lasted until well after 12:30 at night. No, I didn't make it until it reappeared in its full glory. I went on to bed, but I got to see the moon's eclipse. And this got me to thinking about my Aunt Ethel. I remember when I was a young adult and Halley's Comet came through, I was so excited because that comet travels through at a very slow rate of speed and is only visible here on Earth every 75 years or so. Well, my Aunt Ethel was actually seeing it for the second time. And we went up to the upstairs bathroom in their house, opened the window, which was in the direction the comet was traveling, late at night, in the dark, just the two of us, and hung out the window and watched as Halley's Comet traveled through again. And my Aunt Ethel was sharing with me how old she was. She was just a little girl when the comet first came through, and how wonderful it was to see it again, and everything that had happened since she first saw the comet. And I asked her, I said, Aunt Ethel, did you ever imagine that your life would be as it is right now back then when you were a little girl? And this was before World War II. And she said, oh, Barbara Ann, no way. I never ever dreamed of all the changes that I would see in this world today. And that got me to thinking about what we see and what we consider to be our reality, when often it's our point of view that we're seeing rather than the reality of what is there. I mean, the reality for me and her was we were watching a comet travel through the sky. But her reality was covered by her memory of when she had seen that reality before and everything that had transpired between then and now. My reality was only in the moment. So my appreciation of the event and my takeaway from the event was quite different from hers. Well, after I had watched the eclipse last night, I thought, well, I'll post this on Facebook. It's sort of a cool picture. Very amateurish. I took it with my cell phone. No special lighting. Just took a snap and hoped I'd see something. And I did see something. And so I thought I'd share it there. And when I posted it on my Facebook page, I began getting responses to it almost immediately about, oh, I wish we could see it, it's cloudy here, or oh, we can't see it because of this or because of that or the other thing. Oh, I forgot all about it. Thank you for posting the picture. And again, that got me to thinking about our perspectives and what the reality is. In fact, wherever we were on the globe last night, that eclipse occurred. Didn't matter what the weather was Uh, what we were doing, whether we remembered or not, the reality happened. There was a lunar eclipse last night. It happened everywhere in the world, whether you were in Newfoundland or whether you were in Hawaii or any place in between. This happened in this time frame as the Earth traveled between the sun and the moon. And depending on where you were, what you were doing, you have totally different points of view about the experience. To some of us, it wasn't an experience because we forgot about it or didn't know about it or had other things on our mind, whatever. For some of us, we couldn't see it because it was overcast or cloudy. Uh, the weather inhibited us from seeing what was happening. Uh, Maybe we couldn't stay outside that long to see the whole thing. Uh, and we're sharing our experience. It wasn't right, it wasn't wrong. We were sharing our experiences. And that really got me to thinking an awful lot about our weight loss journey and our experiences of that journey. We start out with a common reality. For whatever reason, there is a need to change the amount of weight we're carrying. It might be health reasons, it may be personal preferences. We may be doing it for a special event that we've targeted, which is really not a good reason to do it, but there you go. But we're not all doing this for the same reason at the same time in the same way. But all of us share in common the desire to get a handle on weight so that we can be healthier. So our journey is never going to be the same, but it's not wrong. Your journey is your journey. How your journey progresses is not always totally up to you. We can control the things we can control. We can change the things we can to change. But outside influences will impact in significant ways sometimes the experiences that we're having. Some of us may run into more obstacles and roadblocks than others. Some of us may have clear skies and smooth sailing. We will have different points of view about the journey based on how it evolved, even though the trip is basically the same. If any of you have ever taken a road trip and have gone past big cities on the interstate, you know timing is so important. If you hit a certain section of road at the wrong time of day, you may be stuck in traffic forever. But if you choose a different time of day on the same section of road, it may be clear as can be, and you may zip right through there without a bit of time. No delays of any kind. And so you would share with each other and say, well, I don't know what you're talking about. When I went through St. Louis, say, I had no trouble. I just cruised right on through. Coming back through Chicago, I was bogged down in traffic for 3 hours. It depends on the time of day, probably, that you went through the city and how much in use by other people needing to go different places the road was at that time. I grew up where I went into Washington, D.C. very often, and I learned very quickly there were certain times of day that were better for me to go into D.C. If I wanted to make good progress in an orderly fashion. And that's where my story about the red nose came from, was being stuck in traffic. Because when people are stuck in traffic, they tend to get very frustrated with the situation. Their point of view really changes in a hurry when they cannot get from the place they are to the place they want to be in a timely manner. And they show their angst very often with horn honking and frustration and yelling and changing lanes and all those kinds of things. And that's when I started wearing my red rubber nose in traffic, so that when people would seem to be upset, I would pop it on, look out the window, and wave at them. And uh, that helped diffuse a lot of the frustration they were experiencing. Uh, their perspective of the situation lightened a little bit. The reality was there was traffic there was nothing they could do. But how they approached it was something they could choose to change. And I guess what I'm rambling about this morning that really impacted me was we all share so many common realities and tops. But what's going on in our own personal lives, in our own personal journeys, are so very different. And anytime we can get outside our own selves and listen to another person's point of view and help them find the way through the hard times they are experiencing in their journey, the better off all of us will be. We all see ourselves as capable of doing this. But at different times, it's going to be more difficult for us than someone else, and vice versa. But the one constant is that we all are in this together. And that's the strength of our organization. We help each other through. And we keep focused on what the reality is and help deal with the obstacles that will appear and appreciate that each of us may be at a different point in the journey and that it may be more difficult at that particular moment in time and more help is needed. So I'm really glad I got to sit in the deck chair last night and just watch the eclipse of the moon and think a little bit about how life evolves. My treasured memory of my aunt really is the impetus for what I'm sharing with you today, because her point of view in her life story helped frame my point of view and my life story. And that's a gift that can be given freely at any time to anyone. So keep on sharing your support, your caring, and your kindness with each other as we go through the process of reaching our goals. Have a great day, and remember, when it's raining, make your own sunshine. Bye for now.